Hi friend, it is August 5th. It is Wednesday, Block Wednesday, and I'm Pat Sloan. But before we do Block Wednesday, we have our topic of the day, which I have on the calendar, is called singles. So what are singles about? They're your single patterns, so single patterns that you've purchased, often called pattern packs. They come in, plastic like this. They might be in a full size, it might be folded over, and what do we do with these? So we had a question from one of our friends at the Quilt Along with Pat Sloan page at Facebook, Linda. And Linda wrote this question before I did the calendar. So I'm like, yes, this is a great topic for the calendar today. So Linda said when she looks around her space and she looks at how she organizes her quilt patterns, she's wondering if there is an easier way to do this. Right now she says she has them in about 5 different places. And I feel your pain. Definitely feel your pain on that. So let's talk about ways to keep track of those, because first of all, you'll have you'll have some physical patterns like this, but you might also have, and you probably do have, digital patterns. So let's first talk about what to do with your physical pattern inventory. So I suggest, and if you have time to do this today, or if you actually can book yourself to do it this week, because it might take you, depending on how many single patterns you have, it might take you a little bit to do it. I recommend that first you gather everything. You get it all out. Wherever you have it hiding, get these containers. And I have some these blue containers that I use here. I have some in these. I have less than I used to. I used to have quite a lot of single patterns, but right now I have a bit less. Quite a bit less, and I actually need to do this myself. It's perfect. Gather them all up and go through them and decide what do you still really want to own, because they take up some space. They can be kind of thick, they can be kind of bulky, so that's the first step, is to get everything and see what do you want to keep. I am actually going to do that because this week because with my hands not being able to really hold things, this is a perfect project for me to do, because I can get Greg to get the containers out, and then I can go through and see what's there and see what I really truly want to keep for someday making. Someday is the key word, right? But really look at it hard and decide, do you really still love that? Is there some reason you really want to keep it? Okay, so after that, one of the ways that I store them are in these magazine, see these magazine holders? So these things I like because they're easy to put on top, and they take the bigger size ones and the smaller size ones. So this is a great way to store them. And I can kind of shove them in here pretty tight. Now the other thing you could do, and I don't keep my patterns like this, but I do have a notebook, which happens to be my Dear Jane, but it's got the stuff that I want to tell you about. So this happens to be the Dear Jane book with the spine off, and put the pages in here. So, but these clear sleeves, this happens, see the clear sleeves? Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. You could use these clear sleeves so that you could take the folded patterns and you could open them up and put them in these clear sleeves, and then those are a bit less space. And then you could have binders for your project. So that could be another way for you to store your single patterns. I have a bunch in these blue, like this blue tubs that I use, these things, and they just should not be in there. They should not, because they're just piled in there. They're not easy to see, they're not easy to work with. So what I'm going to do over this week, I'm just so excited about this topic. I am going to get all of mine out and sort through them in the evening, because that's definitely a good evening project for me when I can't, the very limited amount of sewing squares to squares that I can do, I can't do it later in the evening because I'm just too tired. So there you go. That is your assignment today, is singles. All right, now let's go to our block Wednesday for going on a picnic. I have got brownies and cake. This is it, brownies and cake. Let me show you. So it has the sort of modified. It's kind of like a 9-patch, but not really, like a window pane block or something in the middle, and a few half square triangles. So let me show you the backing, because you all are just obsessed with backings. No, you aren't all, because I know I'm not, but some of you are. So let's scroll down here. Remember, my friend Anne made all of these blocks for me. So Anne pressed to the dark side for everything, and also on her half square triangles. Oops, there you go. On the half square triangles are also pressed to the dark side. And then when pressing, doing the rows, it's also pressed towards the dark side. Do you see that? So this is a row, and that's a row. All right. Now, because I love doing this for this sewing along, is taking the fabric. Now, before we talk about this, I want to show you some other fabric combos, but before we talk about this, we must address the color yellow from yesterday. I knew yellow is one of those colors, actually pink is another one, but yellow is one of those colors where people will just come in and say it is not a color they use or they don't like it. So I want to tell you a story. Way back when I did a workshop, this 4-day workshop with Nancy Crow years ago, she was trained as a potter to begin with. So she has art training, you know, like a master's in fine art. I don't know what she's, you know, she's got a lot of training in art. And one of the things she told us about was the color yellow. Now, I've always loved yellow, so it was never been a problem for me to work with or think about or own. I mean, but she told us that they did a lot of studies on the color yellow, and they found out that most of the time children love the color yellow, but at some point somebody tells them along the way they should not. For whatever reason, some adult that was told when they were a kid, then they pass this along to the next generation of kids, and so they lose their happiness for yellow, and it's kind of sad. You know, it's kind of a shame that somewhere along the way you may have been told. One of the ladies said, she goes, I was told I can't wear yellow. Well, you might not be able to wear it, but that doesn't mean you can't like it. I mean, you're not going to wear your quilts, but that's where the concept comes, though, when you're told you can't do something. And if you absorb that as a reality, then it holds on to your brain, stuck in your brain, to the point where it's, you know, it's really nice to dislodge those things. My thought is that I really should have a challenge, a use yellow fabric challenge when I can sew again, because I think that effective use of yellow and being able to understand and work with yellow is, especially if it's not your gig, that might be a great way for you to explore it. And you don't have to make the whole quilt yellow. That's not the goal. The goal is to take colors and work with them. I'm going to show you a quilt that has a lot of yellow in it. I use it as the background. This quilt was made in 1,000 years ago, or 800 years ago, right? 2001, when I was just starting my business, and it was published in one of the magazines. I'm going to hold it up. But here is a quilt that's done with, it's not cheddar yellow. That is a color that is used for a lot of historical type quilts, is cheddar yellow, but it's very close. I'm trying to get it so you can see it all. So I'll just hold it up here a minute. So this is a quilt that I did where the yellow is a background, but it's not bright yellow. It might be what some people might call tan. I don't call it tan, and it is yellow, but it might be more towards, cheddar yellow is actually more like, goes more towards orange, but this is a yellow, it's a gold yellow. So there's an example of yellow that's much different, and I'm going to show you a third yellow while we're talking about it, because it's something I want to show you as which would have been fabulous for the background of this quilt. So our going on a picnic, let me just move that out of the way so I have some space here. So here is the yellow that I'm using in the canning jars for the background, and all of you have loved that. So this is a very pale yellow. Now if I had used these fabrics, the same two fabrics on there, look how fabulous that is. I'm still in love with the concept of taking one single block and making all kinds of different fabric combinations and not doing it on beige. I think it'd be really great to do it like on yellow. So another combination you could use for this project, you could use, here I've got navy and this sort of open print. I think that would be kind of cool. These would be in the corner. I would put this, which is the peach version of that one, in the middle. I also think that with the navy that's in there, the triangles would be very cool with the stripe. There you go. Or you could do this stripe down here and maybe this guy's in the corner. That'd be a cool one. So there's other combinations of fabric for our going on a picnic. And our going on a picnic is brownies and cake. And the reason why it's brownies and cake is because there's just nothing better than the desserts at a picnic. And brownies and cake are very portable. They're easy to take along, and they look a little fancier than like a plate of cookies, I think. My go-to has been brownies for years, and on the page today I link you up to a cake recipe that is done. It's called Mississippi sheet cake, and it has various versions out there, and I linked you to the version that I like, which is very low and dense and done in those great big sheet pans, you know, the ones that are really low. Okay. So make your going on a picnic block today. I'm so excited for this one. I can't wait to see yours. You could also use a third fabric for the plus sign in the middle if you wanted to. That would be really cool. Then singles. Let's get these patterns organized, get them out, see what you got. All the links are below. I'm Pat Sloan. Join me over at Facebook, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, and you can see all the gorgeous, amazing yellow quilts that were posted yesterday. They are phenomenal. Okay, I love you, and I will see you online. Mwah.